Hello, I'm
Menoth John.
and I'd like to welcome you. First of all, let me take just a moment to thank you for allowing me back into your homes. If this is your first time with us, let me extend a personal invitation for you to drag out your
miniatures
and paint along with us each week. Let's go over to the canvas here and let's get started. I believe, every day's a good day when you paint. I believe, it'll bring a lot of good thoughts to your heart. I believe, every day's a good day when you paint. I believe, it'll bring a lot of good thoughts to your heart. Let's build a happy little cloud. Let's build some happy little trees. There are no limits here. You start out by believing here. You can almost...
Well, good evening, brushheads. It's that time again. It is Sunday night, and it is 6:30 in the Central Time Zone, and it's time for everybody's half hour of shenanigans and frivolity. Yeah, you got it right, folks. It's time for Painting with Menoth John. Great to see each and every one of you out there. I see that there are people in the chat room already. We couldn't be happier to have you here. The show doesn't happen without you here on the Sunday Night Extravaganza. If you're listening to this on audio, we still love you too, because there's approximately 850 more of you that listen to this on podcast than actually watch it on Sunday night. So before I go much further, though, I'm not the only person that's on this show. We have not only the co-host with the host, Mr. John Spencer. Mr. John Spencer, say hello to the Brushheads.
Hey, Brushheads. Happy Easter.
Oh, happy Easter to all the Brushheads. I don't know how I was remiss from that in my hostal type duties. We also have, John, a special guest with us tonight. Can you believe it?
We do. I can.
You know, we must be getting pretty bullish with the technology on this show, because for us to take the chance of bringing somebody on after all the technical glitches and at least two shows where we haven't had huge issues, but we're going to try it tonight. With us this evening, we have one of the head honchos from the CaptainCon. You may know him as Lonely Monk. We love him as Lonely Monk. He's also older than me, so we really love him. Mr. Craig Caton, how are you, sir? Say hello to the Brushheads.
Hey, Brushheads. Good evening, John.
Hey, it is fantastic to have you here on the show. Understand that I really appreciate you taking some time out of your evening for us here. We have a little tradition we like to do here on the Painting with Menoth John show. Early in the cast, we have we release the Kraken, we like to call it. But tonight, I am not releasing the Kraken. I am releasing the Roaring Dans. Yeah. John, have you ever heard of Roaring Dans?
I have not.
Probably because it's made here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and they use real Wisconsin maple syrup when they make it. So I'm going to hit for Craig and the CaptainCon crew, and to all the Brushheads and legendary Brushheads, epic Brushhead Eric Defoe, I want to raise this bit of Roaring Dan. Hey, Ron!
Ron!
That's some good stuff. John, I forgot to ask you, what are you having for your beverage this evening?
Kraken.
Oh, I can't believe that we managed to finally pull off the opportunity for us both to be releasing the Kraken simultaneously, and I go and throw you a curveball with Roaring Dans.
I got plenty more where that came from.
Outstanding. So prepare Brushheads for next week's show, when we will simultaneously release the Kraken, both John and I, which could result in distortions in the time-space continuum. So,
well, especially because you said next week's show.
Oh God, next week's show. I'm leading them astray. I can't believe I'm doing that to the Brushheads. There will be no show next week. As it turns out, I'm going to be going to CaptainCon, and that is in beautiful, sunny, and amazing San Diego. And
was that, Greg?
What's that?
I thought you said CaptainCon.
No, KingdomCon.
There you go.
I don't know what I said. So, at my age, I'm lucky I can say anything at all. So, going to KingdomCon, and I'm going to be hanging out there with the legend Ross Thompson, as well as Tin Man XL and a whole bunch of other folks. It's going to be good times, and it doesn't suck to get out of Wisconsin and go hang out in San Diego. I hear it's nice there.
I'll be a little jealous of you.
John, one last little thing here before we kind of get into the normal shenanigans. How is Crash the Bird doing?
Very quiet right now, actually. She is, let me see where she is. I have no earthly idea. Oh, she's on my wife's finger, kissing her.
Oh, that's very nice. Folks, that Crash is the bird that you'll hear on the show from time to time. We're going to add, along with Ron, anytime that you hear Crash the bird squawk particularly loud, that's a reason to hoist one for Crash the bird. So, to Crash the bird, hey, Ron. Heck, that roaring dance is going down pretty good. So, Craig, I'd like to get you. The reason we brought you on here today is to give you an opportunity. This is the last week of the Kickstarter, correct?
Correct.
So, tell us a little bit about CaptainCon and kind of what it's all about. For the brushheads out there tonight, I'm going to be painting 3 of the Kickstarter models. I've got Gaston, I've got Alara, and I've got Tristan Durant. So, going to be painting on those guys tonight. So, if you're following along at home. Now, back to you, Craig. I'm sorry for being so disjointed here. Tell me a little bit about CaptainCon. How did it get started?
Well, you've been to TempleCon a couple of times, John.
Yes, I have.
What do you think of Iron Arena?
Well, Iron Arena was invented at TempleCon by the NE privateers. It's one of my favorite things to do. I mean, let's face it, with my kind of skills, going into the big boy tournaments tends to be kind of a bad thing for me to do. So I'm a big fan of the Iron Arena.
Well, yeah, we did start it out. It's been going on since 2010. It wasn't originally called Iron Arena, but that's what Privateer Press wanted to call it, and not gonna argue with the big boys.
What was its original name, Craig? I keep on forgetting.
Total War.
Total War. Nice.
Or no, yeah. I mean, it was we had a kind of an unsuccessful casual play under that name, and 2009 at Gen Con, Privateer Press had a Monpoc thing where you could do 6 different things and get points, and then you could trade the points in for promo figures.
Right, I remember that. I actually have one of those buttons upstairs, believe it or not.
Yeah, and Hacksaw and I both helped run that event, and we're at the airport afterwards going like, this might be a good idea if we beat on it and twisted it and expanded it and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you who don't know what Iron Arena is, and it's hard for me to believe you wouldn't, basically you find somebody, whether you know them or not, you play a casual game,
Mm-hmm.
any size you want. It doesn't matter whether you win, and you get points, and later in the convention you can take all your points and trade them in for something. Anywhere from dice to concept art to colored art posters to we've had epic models, battle engines,
The fact that you didn't have to win was always the best part for me because I'm literally terrible at this game.
Well, I mean, the whole idea behind this is why should the tournament players get all the prizes?
Yep.
Why shouldn't the poor schlumps like me that it's ridiculous to get in a tournament, and you play. And here's the other thing: we set the thing up so if you play people you don't know, you get more points. You play people from another state, another city. You play different factions. It's all about getting points and meeting people and having fun.
So yeah, for those of you who are out there who have experienced an Iron Arena, as you can tell, this was lifted wholesale, straight up out of what came before from the New England privateers and the origins there at TempleCon. So we had the origination of this as a concept back in, you're saying 2010?
Yeah, that was the first one.
Okay. Where did it go from there? Now it's 2014. Obviously, the time has marched on.
Well, we have had the ideas of doing something like this for several years, but money and time, things like one of the other guys, Snake Man,
Mm-hmm.
working on his MBA, kind of takes time.
Yeah, it does.
We were looking at this a couple of years ago, and then all of a sudden Hacksaw gets a job in Tennessee and had to pack up his family and move out of the area. And as you know, a new job can kind of take a lot of time until things settle down.
Yeah, absolutely. It cost me 2 years of TempleCon.
Yep. Well, basically, the idea we're rolling out for this is we don't want people to just play War Machine and Hordes.
Mm-hmm.
We want you to play almost anything you want.
Nice.
So the basic idea is if you play a casual game in Netrunner, there's that new version of Super Dungeon Explorer where you play head-to-head against one other person.
Super sweet. I've got one of those mats.
Yeah, I mean, if we can find somebody to run it, we'll have a tournament of that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you play a Malifaux demo, why shouldn't you get points for all of those?
It makes sense to me.
And we're trying to get it set up. If we can scrape up enough sire support, why shouldn't the people running the tournament? Why shouldn't the guys doing the admin table? Why shouldn't the people doing registration get points too and get prizes?
I completely agree with that because it opens up the concept to a much broader audience.
Yeah. I mean, we've got X-Wing tournaments. We've got Malifaux. We've got 40K. The big one is we've been running the New England team tournament for over 7 years. At one point in time, they were running it twice a year.
Mm-hmm.
So it goes quite a ways back. But we opened that thing up, and we've had great support from the War Machine and Hordes community. We wouldn't have passed our goal of, I think it was $9,600.
Yep.
We are fully funded and going for stretch goals.
Yep.
The first stretch goal we've already made is the $10,000 500 mark, which gave us almost another 1,000 square foot room off on the side.
Nice.
So we can have a quieter area for board games and things along those lines.
Yep.
The next Kickstarter, the next stretch goal is crew uniforms, where we will, for everybody that's pledged above a certain level, they'll get a T-shirt, and of course there'll be ways for other people to order them or buy them at the con. And the last stretch goal we've got listed is $13,000, and it's called Captain's Table. If we hit this one, that side room we've got,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be blocked off Friday night. It will have an open bar from 6 to 11 p.m.
Oh, boy.
And we will also have hors d'oeuvres for everybody. Basically, you have to pledge at the mate level or higher.
Mm-hmm.
If you pledge a certain amount, your name's going to be on the list and you're going to get in.
So, Craig, you said that was an open bar, or is that a cash bar?
No, it's a cash bar.
Okay.
It's a cash bar. Sorry,
I don't want Hacksaw to die. I like Hacksaw way better than that.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, basically, it's going on for another week. Right now, we just had another backer this afternoon, so we're 10,800 and change.
Nice.
And, it's, I should give the dates.
Yes, that'd be important.
It's going to be the weekend of July 25th,
Mm-hmm.
and it's in Taunton, Massachusetts at the Holiday Inn,
So
which
where's-
basically means it's halfway between Boston and Providence.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Unfortunately, I know all about that drive.
Yeah. And the other good thing is we also, for reference, the ballroom we have is almost identical in size to the TempleCon ballroom the War Machine Hordes events are in.
Oh, you're kidding me. The one that's at TempleCon, it's going to be that big?
Yes.
Wow. And is that hall obviously is not going to be just for War Machine. That's going to be...
Oh, no.
That's going to be all the different fun stuff.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Super cool.
Exactly. I mean, for example, we've got the War Store as one of our sponsors, and they're going to be there with a booth.
Super cool. They've been at TempleCon for years and years.
I mean, we were very pleased and surprised to have them interested, and very glad to have it going on. So.
Yep, they're a very legit store. They've got great selection there. That's really fantastic news.
We also have another large store in the area called Pandemonium, which is having a large booth there too. There's a couple of other local vendors that have bought in. So
that's really great news, Craig. I'm really glad that. First off, I'm sorry we didn't get you onto the show any earlier. We release on Tuesday, so this will go out.
Perfect. That's perfect for the last week.
Yep. So I want to issue a challenge out there. If you guys are going to they're in the New England area or thinking of you're looking for that con before you go to Gen Con. This sounds like a perfect opportunity to kind of get those lists out there and try them out and see if and get some good hard competition. I'm hearing that the Muson Minis guys are going to be there as well. So
you're kidding? That's news to me.
Yeah, they were talking about it on one of their.
Okay, I mean, we do have a qualifier into a Masters on Sunday, as well as the team tournament on Saturday, and we're having Friday night and Saturday tournaments, as well as I think we're doing we're doing some smaller steamrollers late Friday afternoon, early Friday evening also.
That's great, man. Like I said, I did hear them talk about it on their podcast. John, have you listened to that episode of Muse?
I think Hacksaw was on that.
Yeah, I heard one. They said they were thinking about it. Nothing. I haven't heard them confirm anything yet.
Oh, okay. Maybe I might have been jumping the gun. He'll
I mean,
probably.
just a name drop. I know Dark Omen will be there. It's right in their backyard.
Oh, I love those
So-
guys.
Better be
They are
there, good lord.
they are super sweet. Love those guys. Well, great, man. It sounds like you've got a great start. Where are you at as far as funding right now? You said you're just shy of 11,000.
Yeah, we're at 10,800 and change.
Man, that's just great. Congratulations to you guys. I think you're the first con that I'm aware of that's used crowdsourcing to get funding, and you found a nice niche there in that time frame, just before Gen Con, and Kingdom Con will have been done for a long time. I think you're the next good-sized con that's on the docket at that point. Am I wrong?
ATC.
ATC. Yep. I'm sorry. I shouldn't be dissing the ATC. I always do though. It's kind of it's becoming a shtick, John.
It is.
I mean, just to put in a plug, we have. Oh, let's see.
This whole segment is a plug, so don't worry about it.
Oh yeah,
plug
I know.
away.
We have coins to order and all that other stuff. I mean, basically, the way this thing really, one of the things that got us started on this is we run the events at TempleCon on a shoestring budget.
Mm-hmm.
We don't get any money from the TempleCon organization, so we have to raise it ourselves for terrain and everything else we do. We have sold Midnight Madness T-shirts at TempleCon because Privateer Press has given us the art every year. And this year we decided to do dice, coins, and patches as well as the T-shirts.
Yep.
And that allowed us to break even this year and walk away with, well, we could have gone to dinner or saved it. So we saved it. So that basically said, well, if we've got to raise a little bit more money. We got a hotel room last year for the New England team tournament, a quarter of a ballroom this size. And we're like, well, if we can raise that much on the New England team tournament and break even, if we add in the rest of the stuff we know how to do and try to promote it with other groups and get the backing, I mean,
no, it all makes total sense. You guys have done a really nice job of monetizing the events that you've been a part of, and I can't say enough positive things about how well run the TempleCon stuff is. And so if Brushheads, if you're looking for an event, get over there to the Kickstarter, look up CaptainCon, spelled conventionally. They're not going to make you try and figure out how to spell some goofy. It's not Captain with 4 X's and a Y and 4 Z's and stuff like that. It's a conventional CaptainCon.
One more quick plug.
Yep.
We also have a hobby area sponsored by Games and Gears that are furnishing brushes, the cleaning materials, the glue, and I think they've got somebody as a paint sponsor, but I don't remember who for sure.
Yep.
But you're going to be able to go, if you buy something or you need to assemble something or paint something, you can sit down at the table and there's everything you need.
Yep. Games and Gears and I are talking about doing some sponsorship for the show here as well. Sam Sedgy, who is the mastermind behind Games and Gears, top-notch fella. The nicest little Brit you'll ever want to meet. And he's... his Games and Gears brushes, I use one of them. I've got a 3-4 where the 3 is a square end brush that I purchased at TempleCon, and I really love it. I use it for a lot of detail work or on hard corners. The brush quality is excellent, so big fan of the Games and Gears brushes, because you can't even get a Winsor Newton Series 7 right now through Dick Blick. So for right now, they're my drug of choice. So,
did you see the Kickstarter brushes he posted this week?
I have not seen. Is that Kickstarter live?
No, I think it's like it's the 27th. It said it was going live.
Yep. So keep that in mind. There's some really nifty brushes that he's got coming out again, and the Kickstarter tends to be a very inexpensive way to get a nice plethora of brushes. Some of my Winsor Newton Series 7s are starting to show their wear. So it might be time to think about investing in some Games and Gears brushes. So there. Now I'm done whoring out different brushes and things like that now. I'm a complete whore. Don't get me wrong. But I think we're done with that part of the show. All right.
Well, if you're a whore, I'm an old whore.
Oh, that's what we love about you, though, man. So you're the guy that we turn to in the community to go, hey, Menoth John's not that old.
Well, I can state this as a fact. I am the oldest PG, not the senior, but the oldest.
You are number 1 on the seniority list, baby.
No, not senior. Other people have been PGs longer than I have.
But yes, as far as that's concerned, but as far as chronological age is concerned, that's all we care about here at Painting with Menoth, John.
Okie dokie, junior. Youngster.
Oh, that makes
Snapper.
that makes my cold dead heart just beat a little bit better. All right, man.
Ron.
So Ron, hey Ron, I got some conventional tracking now.
I thought you needed one.
Thank you, buddy. I know that you're there for me. So we are at the. We got 10 minutes left in the first segment of the show, and I'm going to give a very quick bat rep, and by very quick I mean I'm practicing for hardcore at KingdomCon, not to be confused with CaptainCon. But I decided my good buddy Zach, Cat Killer 5, who's in the house. I saw him in the chat room already, and he came over to Casa John for our Saturday morning appointment that we have. He comes over to Casa John. We play a couple games of War Machine, and he was good enough to pull together a 35-point hardcore list. And let me tell you something about hardcore, John Spencer. 5 minutes is not long.
Yeah, I'm not sure what I know what I'd do for that. I'd play something different, but yeah, it's our players have a hard time finishing games in 2 hours.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. 5 minute time turns is something I'm not used to, and I figured out I did win the game. He played Sturgis, I played Raven. I figured out that my total usage of the clock was 8 minutes, and I killed him on the top of 2 on a very typical snipe feat go. But let me tell you, that list just straight up dies against hordes. You can't put enough attacks into the anybody that's holding any kind of transfers, and it just loses. So anyhow, so I'm going to turn this over here to Mr. John Spencer, who might have one or two deep thoughts for us, Brushheads.
Absolutely, I got a couple. Thought of a couple in the meantime. I only got 2 games in this week. They're actually longer games, which is kind of nice. I got to play Ashland versus Kane 2.
Yes, he came
on Tuesday, and this one's gonna be quick and easy. It was a good, solid game. But the deep thought is, if you're gonna play a scenario, you really, really, really need to know how to score the scenario, including where your models need to be to score. Yeah, so, because my opponent didn't know that you had to actually be in base with the flag to score it, so he gave up a point from not being in base of the flag. It didn't matter. I won 5-1 in the end anyways, but, I mean, it could have hurt him.
Absolutely. God. So explain to me what exactly happened there.
Well, he had created some Thrall Warriors for Lexia, and they ran up. 2 of them ran up near the flag, and he's like, I score a point. I'm like, you're not in base.
Ruh-roh.
He's like, oh. I'm like, you want to be in base? I'm like, you could have made it. He's like, no, I got to learn. I'm like, cool, but yes, you should, by now you should probably know.
Jeez.
I mean, it sounds basic, but I mean, you hear 4 inches touted, so much you can measure within 4 inches, all this. People forget sometimes you actually have to be in base with the flag. So remember that.
That is an important thing. If you want to score the flag, you have to be in. What were you playing, Incursion?
Yeah, I think we actually randomly rolled Incursion.
That, you know what? I think that somehow Hacksaw has imbued that particular scenario with certain magical abilities that cause it to be randomly rolled.
Yeah, I mean, you roll all the dice, and you're like, all right, this die, this die, this die, and oh, we're playing Incursion. That's what I would have chosen, because I can do that out of my bag. I don't have to go in the back for zones or anything.
I mean, how many tournaments do you ever get where there is an Incursion?
That's because they're the TO's favorite.
I try not to.
Good man.
But yeah, so that one was good. Like I said, I won 5-1. You know, having a turn where Kane probably can't kill you because of your feat's really good. Gives you a turn to get some work done.
Absolutely.
Another deep thought is, remember all your model's abilities. I know it says it again and again, but it's easy to forget, I don't know, Ashland's gun for a turn.
Oh.
Then leave Rowdy on 2 hitboxes where you could have shot him, done 2. Then you had to charge 2 hammer dwarves over to finish the job, and then you kind of forgot they were over there for a turn.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Ruh-roh.
It came out okay, but I'm like, I could have done a lot better if I had A, used my gun, taken those 2 boxes off, and I had to use those 2 guys over there, and B, remembered those 2 guys were over there. So, yeah, a lot of memory stuff. And this is good notes on how you can, even in a game where you're comfortably in the lead, you can learn things from not being as good as you can be.
Well, here at Painting with Menoth, John, we highly support memory issues. I think eventually at some point we're going to have the Alzheimer's awareness as one of our sponsors. I think that's got to happen at some point.
I think they were going to sponsor us, but they forgot.
But up. I see what you did there.
Sorry, I had to. It was too easy.
Welcome to the comedy section of today's show. Try the VL. We'll be here all week.
So my second game, I warned the guy on Friday. It was a good Friday because I didn't have to work.
That's a very good Friday.
I was just going to play a silly list.
Mm-hmm.
He broke out, 50 point. He broke out Lilith 2, and I dropped down Mad Hammer with an Earthbreaker and Gaston with a Galleon, because you know what I got on Thursday.
Oh, that made her sad, didn't it?
No, she's got Shadow Pack. She was completely unimpressed with Double Colossal. I mean, he was impressed, but he shouldn't have been. I really thought looking at it, I'm like, oh, I'm going to have a good game that I lost to talk about on Painting with John. False. I actually won it, but Mad Hammer was pretty much able to solo the entire unit of Striders and 2 Deathstalkers he brought.
That's
nice.
Pretty
much him and Reinhold and McNeil are like, I'll give you some bonuses. You just kill all those dudes and cleared up a flag for me to dominate for points.
Yep.
The Galleon lasted long enough just to tie up the other flag, tie up some dudes, forced him to put the Angelius in, and the Earthbreaker shot it to death.
That does my cold, dead heart so much good.
Yeah, it's another good one. If you have a bad matchup, just because something is a really bad matchup doesn't mean you can't win. You just really gotta make a plan, have to follow through, and you just gotta pay attention to what it's doing. I basically had put Eris in a position, Eris 2, where if he had done something silly like moved Lilith too far up, to really do a job on the Earthbreaker, I would have been able to move in, shoot her, strip Shadow Pack, and end her.
Oh, so, yeah.
And there's a good building, one of the few things you can hide against with Lilith. And that's another suggestion. If your store doesn't have buildings, pick up 1 or 2 of the GW fantasy buildings or something like that and just have them there, because forests and hills are not enough terrain. You need buildings so that Legion can't just go, oh, we ignore all that crap. Let's just shoot you, Ignore forests. Get a building to hide behind. That's helpful.
Well, and it's legit, too. I mean, they not even just against Lilith 2 or Legion. The fact is that, the terrain is supposed to mean something. And there's a lot of unless you're saying, oh, this is going to be a forest battle or something like that, the having some buildings in there is totally legit.
Yeah, we have quite a few, because when our store opened, they sort of busted their entire GW tournament prize support, getting terrain ready for everything, and then covered the prize support out of their own pocket. But it got them started. There's lots of GW buildings, which honestly, a lot of things you can say bad about GW. The terrain is really solid, especially their fantasy terrain.
I agree. I wish it was a little bit. I wish it was a little bit more playable for War Machine, but that's not their point.
Skulls.
Well, not that stuff, but like the houses, the tower, the walls, they're all pretty good.
Yep.
Those are nice.
Hey, Craig, I'm picking up an awful lot of static off of your line. If you could, we certainly want you to contribute, but we want to. If you could just mute in between comments, that'd be super awesome. There we go. Thanks, buddy. Okay, what's your next deep thought there, John?
My final one is actually a painting deep thought.
Okay.
And then in an effort to get to ATC last year, I had painted up 2 50-point lists, and I'm not the world's fastest painter. I don't stick with it as well as I should. But I got 2 armies painted up, and I did that by setting the schedule, which we've gone over before, but then just painting the models basic. Just put the base coat on every single model I needed for the army, and then going back and washing and doing touch-ups and all. And that's my suggestion. Do that. Even if you're just painting models regularly like you do, just paint a bunch of models, do the base coats, put them aside, do something different. Then you can always go back, look at the model. Maybe you figured out something you want to do on the technique.
Yep.
Because you always get better, and then you can wash them and finish them up.
I couldn't agree with you more.
There's a long way to keep things fresh. Yeah.
I couldn't agree with you more. Because I mean, finding a solution to painting, keeping the boredom out of painting is such an important thing. Because if you get bored with it, or you get you get sick of doing it, you can walk away from the table. And sometimes you get so sick of painting that you decide to start a podcast so that it keeps you from getting sick of painting. And God help any of us if that happens. So, Craig, I know you do an awful lot of painting, and you've got a great blog and you should share the address for your blog. How do you beat the boredoms? How do you stay focused on keeping that painting going?
It's an awful lot of different things. Well, the blog comes and goes depending on how things are going. It's Lonely Monk at WordPress, so that's pretty simple.
Yep.
I mean, painting's my therapy, for crying out loud. With everything that goes on in my life over the last couple of years, it's my quiet. I mean, I go to the local game store probably 2/3 of the time to paint when I do. And there's one corner of the room where there's an outlet, and I can plug in the phone and play some music if there's nobody to talk to.
Yep.
And the lighting's good, and nobody bothers, and I'm not in the high traffic lane, so I have to keep moving because somebody wants to bump the chair. And I just go at it. Squint, squint, squint.
Oh no! An email came in on my iPad. That's why I was squinting at you. It's because I don't have my glasses on, and I can't freaking see anything because I'm blind.
I mean, I pick a project, and sometimes projects have goofy names. I mean, when I did the Fiona the Black theme list, yes, I have a full Fiona the Black theme list with all the options.
God bless you.
It was Project Grace O'Malley. The present one, it's funny you should mention Ashland.
Mm-hmm.
I have the Ashland theme list that I've started working on, and yesterday I just put the flag on the Ashland model and I still got to do some shading on her face and a little bit of touch-up, but she's probably 90-95% done. And at the same time, in the last week, somebody posted some pictures of some Menoth on a Jolly Roger website. You never know, Jolly Roger Studios or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing against Menoth or the paint jobs for them, but it's never the white or off-white Menoth has never struck my fancy. And I've seen a lot of different color schemes, and they were all kind of ho-hum,
mm-hmm.
And dark Menoth, everyone I've ever seen was so black they looked like a piece of cardboard sitting up on the screen. No depth to them or anything else. And basically, the Jolly Roger one was a lot of charcoal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was a lot of depth and a lot of shading to it, and it was really dark. And they had the cloth as a purple. Ooh. And I really didn't like the purple, so I had a friend of mine do an assist and photoshopped the Daughters of the Flame with gray armor, a little bit of gold here and there, and all the cloth was sanguine base, sanguine highlights.
Yep.
Standard Menoth color. And I absolutely fell in love with it. So I pulled out what's her name? Daughters of the Flame solo with a gun sword.
Nicaea.
I got 2/3 of her painted up yesterday, and I absolutely love it. So I think I'm going to wind up doing a Thyra theme list where it's basically charcoal on the jacks, charcoal on the armor, charcoal everywhere. So,
Craig, I'm going to send you a list for you to take a look at with Thyra, because I've got a list. Mr. Brett Painter, who is a legendary brush head here on the show, can attest to the fact that it's a lot of fun. It's not a theme list, but you might think about it as something to run if you're not if you want to run something with Thyra that isn't the theme list. So
sure. As long as it's got a bunch of daughters in it.
It does. It has 2 units of daughters in it, so it'll scratch that itch for you, I think, pretty solidly. Hey,
a little bit of light cavalry.
It does have the light cavalry. It has the pony girls, which is super awesome. I love those girls. Hey, brushheads and legendary brushheads. It is, Craig. I appreciate you coming on here and talking all about the CaptainCon and stuff. You're welcome to stay with us throughout the balance of the show, which I think you have available to you. And we are going to move into what I like to think is the signature portion of the program. It's a little thing that we stole perhaps from from Mr. Nigel Brooks and Focus and Fury, but we're going to say it was our invention. We're going to call it Flippity Bloop. John, what do you got for us tonight? What's our first Flippity Bloop?
All right, our first one is from Joseph Merrick.
Hey, Joe.
He asks, have you both bought Rites of Passage and read at least one complete story yet?
Not at all.
Nope.
I've kind of fallen. What about you, Craig? Have you read it?
Not that one.
Okay, so I don't even really know what the story. Rites of Passage. Is that not the new Thagrosh book?
No, I think it's an anthology.
Oh, yeah.
That's the one on all the juniors.
Yeah, wish I cared. I got partway through the Butcher one. I've read quite a few of the Skull Island and stuff like that, and then I decided to start reading some actual novels, and I just haven't gotten back to it. I know that there's a lot of folks that really do enjoy them. When I need my fix of fluff, I will definitely head back in that direction, but not right now. So I highly support anyone who wants to read it, though, because read a book, read a mother effing book.
Exactly.
So there you go. We highly support literacy here on Painting with Menoth, John. I know that's a controversial stand. You know, we're taking it out on the edges of where society thinks is acceptable, but that's where we live. You know, we're up here at Painting with Menoth, John. We're going to sell you the whole seat, but you're only going to need the edge.
Exactly.
Flippity bloop.
All right. The next one's from Matt K, who's Dark Jeeves, one of the Dark Omen guys.
Ah, sweet.
And he asked, has airbrushing changed the painting meta?
You know what? This is a really interesting question. I'm very happy to have this question. I think it has. I think that here, especially in the last probably year, I think that you've seen a dramatic increase in the number of people who are using airbrushes to do their work. And I think that was precipitated by the fact that there are these ginormous models now called colossals and gargantuans that have so much space that you have to paint that if you're not using an airbrush, boy, I'll tell you what, it can take a long time. I think about the amount of time that took me to complete Stormwall, which was mostly because I was derping around, compared to the amount of time that it took me to do Stormwall, to do Judicator, and it can't compare. Judicator was all done by brush, and the majority of the base coating on Stormwall was done by airbrush, and it got me to the point where I could spend a lot more time doing the kind of stuff that I really enjoy doing when I'm painting, which is detail work. I much prefer spending my time doing detail work than necessarily the base coating. So I think it has. I think it has changed how people paint. But I'd love to hear, John. I'd love to hear your side of the story on this one.
I don't really have a side because I don't really have an airbrush. I am given some thought into getting one.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to do a lot of cleaning and set up a space in my actual bedroom. With a bird around you, be careful what kind of crazy stuff you've got.
You could always airbrush Crash. You could turn her into a parrot.
A little small for that, actually. A little small.
It would be, but that would make it like double valuable, because then it would be a miniature parrot, and you could sell it on eBay for like a gajillion dollars, and it would have beautiful plumage.
And then my wife would kill me.
Oh, well, there's that. Can't have that.
Yeah.
What do you think, Craig? Go ahead. I'm sorry, John. Go ahead.
I was thinking about getting one, but we'll see how things pan out.
John, when you get to that point, I will get a hold of me. I'll help you avoid having to buy two of them, because I bought one, then I regretted it, and then I bought a different one, and now I don't regret it. So I'll be happy to keep you from having to buy two of them.
Fair enough.
Craig, what are your thoughts on that?
I pretty much agree with you, John. They were showing up before the Colossals and the Battle Engine showed up, but not anywhere near as much. For what they do, it takes a certain amount of technique, but
Agreed.
They're well worth the effort. I mean, I've got an old one sitting on my desk. I don't have a good compressor, and I'm not going to buy cans of air.
Oh God,
so
no!
I haven't used it for anything like that. But if I can ever get a rig set up, I will certainly be using it for base coating, because usually you can get your first 2/3 of the model done.
Yeah, I base coated an Earthbreaker today in 10 minutes. I mean, I I literally have the entire body of the Earthbreaker done, arms, the whole 9 yards, in 10 minutes.
What's the paint scheme?
It's my typical Rulik Merc paint scheme. It's a gray base coat with, believe it or not, it's Gdablok's old color scheme. So it's got magenta for a lot of for the off color. And then what I'm going to do with this one is I'll wash it down with what I call the bug juice, which is armor wash with some future floor wax and some mixing medium and water, and that kind of it darkens the gray a little bit that I use. And then I'll come back. I'm gonna do some corrosion and rust on the bottom of it, because if you think about this Earthbreaker kind of trudging through the rocks and all that kind of stuff, it's gonna get its paint screwed up a little bit. So I'm going to use that to highlight the feet on it and stuff like that. So it's not going to be super complicated as far as a paint scheme is concerned, but it should look nice.
Absolutely.
And I can put the effort into those details because I'm not going to spend my whole freaking lifetime base coating the damn thing trying to get it smooth looking. So there you go. Any other thoughts on that, Craig?
Pretty much agree with everything you said, and that's the big thing from it. I mean, the only one I painted is a galleon, and just the body and the legs and the shoulders on that thing were tedious, is being very kind.
Yep. So there we go. And Craig, it's +4 to awesome to agree with everything the host says. So well, let's flippity bloop.
All right. Well, the next one we've got here is Stefan Kruger, who asks why no one plays a Sanctifier or a Reclaimer.
Because people lack imagination and only go and look at what the top end players are playing and choose those lists. I think Sanctifiers and Reclaimers are super awesome, and they're super fun to watch when your opponent charges into a Reclaimer with Soulstorm up and watches all of his single wound infantry bite the dust one right after another.
I've got the perfect example of that. I play a high Reclaimer theme list occasionally, and it starts with a soul token on 3 Reclaimers that I play.
Yep.
And I had them lined up behind a whole row of infantry, and there's the Chaosy Assassins, and they sat there all game just shaking in their boots and never did anything.
Oh my God, that is living the dream.
They never engaged.
that is living the dream right there, buddy.
It's a riot.
Well, it's on an unrelated topic. I got to live the Hyperion dream with Chaosy Assassins when I lifted 8 out of the 11-man group in one shot.
Oof.
God, that's so beautiful. I'll never have a shot with the Sparkle Burst cannon like that ever again. But I got to do it. It was the first time I ever shot that cannon too, which was like, ha.
You're bringing that thing every game, right?
Exactly. Flippity bloop.
All right. Joseph Merrick asks, I need help think of something to write on my other Trollkin Sorcerer's scroll. Suggestions?
So obviously Joe is now the new Brett Painter.
That's not that bad. Several people put like 2 in here.
Okay, that's fine. I think we've hurt Brett's feelings somehow. I think
he had feelings.
He's barely human, but I want to reach out to Brett right now. This is a very serious moment for us here on Painting with Menoth, John. And I can't. Brett Painter is, if I've hurt you, Brett, maybe we just need a little bit of snuggle time. I think that's what it's going to have to come down to is that you and me are going to need to spend a little time together, maybe off in the corner. Also, we'll hug it out because we love you on the show. We love your questions. They're usually easily ridiculed, and that makes good podcasting. So, Brett, please write in some more questions. So anyway, back to Joe's question.
I have a suggestion,
which I forget. Yes.
Something to put on a scroll. Do you remember a certain scene in Braveheart where they flip their kilts?
Actually, I have never seen Braveheart.
Oh.
Okay, well, you know what a kilt lifter does when he's trying to antagonize the enemy?
Probably shows him his bum.
Yeah, gee. Well, that's a great thing to put on a scroll when you're going to wave it at the enemy.
There you go. Well, there you go, Joe. Courtesy of the Lonely Monk. I want to see that on there.
And Vanuner One says, right, point Mulg at enemy on the scroll, which is another good suggestion. My favorite is Resnick Scroll, one of our locals. Steve, never going to pronounce his last name correctly. Put missing cat on his scroll on that, which is very amusing.
I have G'day Bloke's Resnick that has the Kill Bill movie poster painted in great gory detail to the point where it actually has her sunglasses on it.
It's pretty legit.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever hear about the Testament of Menoth that Stubbs painted for G'day for an exchange?
No.
He put something for Turok.
Oh God.
On the scroll.
That's very funny. Stubbs is a terrible human being. Also older than I am. But we love him here.
He's a good man.
We love that guy.
Yeah.
And we love teasing him almost as much as we love him. Anyhow, so flippity bloop.
All right, I'm going to jump around a little bit, get to the easy ones here. Mark Fright asks, if you were to paint an eggshell with the Painting with Mount John logo, would you use a stencil or do it freehand?
You know, I think that I would probably have to go with a freehand painting, and this is why. It seems like making a stencil would be work, and I'm not comfortable with that. It sounds way too much like work, so I would say I would probably go with freehanding it and then saying, you know what, looks good enough. By the way, speaking of freehanding things, I freehanded a Kraken label onto the bottle that the little whelp is holding on my storm wall, because I've got those whelps on there.
Yeah.
And the one riding the big gun has got the beer bottle in it, and I went ahead and made that a Kraken bottle instead of a beer bottle.
That's awesome.
So what about Lonely Monk, if you were going to be painting a shot glass or some type of Painted with Menoth John type item, would you use a stencil or would you go freehand?
I'd probably freehand it.
Yep, absolutely. What about you, John?
I would stencil because I'm no good at freehand, and I feel like making a stencil would make it easier every successive time. That seems like something you would paint more often if you had a stencil. That's
very true, and it would be a great way for me to do Painting with Menoth John shot glasses.
Absolutely.
Which I keep teasing.
Yes.
It's gonna happen, guys. I just need to find time to spend a little bit of time to do some research on how to make it happen. Like I said, I found some sites. We'll make it happen one way or the other. Also, I understand that Fat Asian's got some ideas up his sleeve for some plastic-related Painting with Menoth John stuff. So stay tuned, folks.
I'm in.
He's working on it, and it's going to be that new full color stuff that he's got now that he's got the full color. Have you seen those for Tower Games?
No, I haven't. Sounds sweet.
He also did one for the Canadian WTC team.
I did see that actually. Yeah.
Yeah, it's legit, and he says he was waiting to do our stuff until he had that technology. So that's coming down the pipe.
Awesome.
God, I love that stuff. And then I'm gonna have to, if they ever get around to making tokens for factions I give a damn about, I'll have to get some of those too.
I have mercenary tokens on the way.
Yeah, well, you give a damn about mercs more than I do.
Fair.
Anyway, so anything further on that? I don't think so. Flippity bloop.
All right. Ben Schveptu Hansen asks, would you consider filming any of your games in the future, even if they're casual? Also, are you planning on doing another T-shirt design or anything in the future? Because you missed out on the last one.
Yep. So here's the deal with I will be happy to do games so long as it doesn't involve me unplugging a single wire from my computer. So what that means is that I'm going to have to get around to building a table for the basement here at Casa Menoth John. And that's totally legit. I think that the Saturday morning games that Zach and I have should probably find their way to internets. So I am going to, I'm not going to commit to it right this minute. I've got to get a piece of wood, and this table I've got here behind me is not the sturdiest thing ever. And so I think I need to build a legit table that I can do something with. But yeah, Benj, I'm all over doing some more. If you guys really want to watch me durdle around and make tremendous errors using War Machine, yeah, why not? It's another What's that?
My store's thinking of doing some live streams, and I have some painted armies, so I might be one of the first War Machine on there.
Oh, I love
of
that.
course, let the Brushhead know if that ends up happening.
Yeah, for sure. That would be great. I'd love to. I'd tune in for that. God, I have got to figure out what the hell I'm doing. Gaston's got all this.
Arms make a better game.
Gaston's got all this bullshit on him. I don't even know what it is.
Probably straps. That's lots of straps.
He's got more damn this, that, and the other thing going on, and I'm having a really tough time figuring out what the heck is supposed to be leather and what I think I'm gonna put him aside till I can spend some quality time with the Privateer Press website and actually see what he's supposed to. Actually, I can't even do that. I've got to Google search him because they don't have their pictures up on the website.
Oh yeah, because he's Kickstarter. Yeah.
Yeah, super amazing, awesome, not in the least. All right, so flippity bloop.
All right, David Wanky asks, Colossals at 35, break the game or balanced?
You know what? Here's where what I think about 35 Colossals at 35 points. I think that if you want to do that, that's great. I think you're setting yourself up for the situation that your game can collapse very quickly. I watched a game with Owen from Mini War Games. Now this was a 50-point, mind you, but 10 Bane Thrall, the E-Gas defeated, and 2 fully healthy Judicators left the table.
Yeah, I heard about that. That's what we call BS.
That is garbage, and
that'll lose you a game.
It, as a matter of fact, it did, and believe it or not, Owen, God bless him, held out better than I would have. I would have been like, well, that's sort of all over with, but he
would have gone to the patented Jesus flip the table maneuver.
Yup.
Oh, my Judicator's dead. I'll put it over here on the other table. Oh, that one's dead. Put it over on the other table. And flip the table.
They've been raptured. So I think in the right circumstances, I've played 35-point E-Fior lists with Adjudicator that were pretty amazing, but they do tend. I don't think they're broken. I think it is a decision that you make at list creation time that you need to be ready to accept the fact that if you come across a Crix player, you're probably going to lose.
Gotcha.
God, yeah. I actually turned my mic off for that, but because you're on the iPad, you got to hear it, but nobody else got to. I just sneezed, Brushheads. So what do you think, John?
I think it's like anything else that you skew towards. If they can't handle the skew, it's going to be crazy good. If they can handle the skew, it'll be a decent game. And if they are really good at handling the skew, you'll get a bad game the other way. It's just like any other tactic.
Yep.
You know? I would say it's balanced because it's just like anything else.
I agree. What do you think there, Craig? What's been your experience?
Well, a Gladiator and a Bronze Back will take out just about any 120 millimeter base.
Yes, it will.
True.
As a Scorn player, you look at Colossals and go, well, that's cute.
Add Pain Givers, and who cares what the caster is?
Yeah. Pretty much. If there was a faction that if I was ever to get back into Hordes, it'd either be Gators or I would get into Scorn. I just like Gators because they're super fun to paint. But yes, even though I spent that whole day painting Gators, I could paint more Gators. But anyway, so I agree that's one of those matchups that you come across a Bronze Back and a Gladiator, gonna have bad time with your 120 millimeter base. So flippity de bloops.
All right, well, tag teaming on that, my boy Frank Thompson asks, Stormwall, a cut above or over the top?
I think he's just a cut above. I mean, I don't think he's over the top. I think if you let Stormwall tilt you, he's over the top. But if you keep on playing your game, he's solvable easily.
And right before Adepticon, I had Harlan Verge pretty much take out a side on a Stormwall. So
purgation.
He's definitely not broken. He's just really good.
Yeah, he's a hell of a colossal.
But by a little middle margin, not a huge margin, but a little margin.
Yeah, I think that it's really close between Earthbreaker and Stormwall. I will say this, however, I think that there is not a gargantuan in the game that can hold a candle to the worst of the Colossals. I think Kraken is better than any of the gargantuans. But that's just
situationally, yeah, I could see. I mean, an Archangel with Thagrosh 1 is pretty silly.
yeah. Still,
Yeah,
RFP or snacking or something like that, and yep.
a mammoth with epic hexy. Take a second shot every time you.
Yeah, that's pretty good too.
So
I mean, it needs support, but
Yeah,
that big one's crazy.
the Gargantuans aren't quite as plug and play as Colossals. You need to think about them.
which is why I don't play Hordes. Yay! Not playing Hordes. Anyway, so there we go. So flippity ploop.
All right. Well, the next question on my cheat sheet here. Let's jump around a little bit.
Jump around. Jump around. Sorry.
There we go. I wish I got this before he leave, but he just left. Matt K. Dark Jeebs again asked, "Does Kraken help with the painting shakes?"
Does Kraken help with the painting shakes? Well, the problem is that you might have the shakes from having too much Kraken in the first place. But for me personally, I don't know. I have never really noticed. My hands are pretty steady right now. I seem to do some pretty good painting when I'm have had a few shots of Kraken too. That might just be the recipe right there. At no time does Painting with Menoth John recommend or endorse drinking heavily. I just want to put that out there right now. And
someone who's done some actual really big thought about that. It's not the alcohol that makes your hand shake. It's the caffeine. So as long as you're not mixing it with more caffeine, you'll be fine. And if you ever want to become like super good, legitimate painter, stop drinking caffeine.
Well,
But
given the fact of who my employer is, that's probably not going to happen.
Yeah, fair. Well, you even drink bad caffeine. You're drinking coffee. Ugh, coffee.
Oh, God bless coffee. God bless coffee and the Starbucks Corporation. That's all I'm going to say.
Hey, keeps you busy and it keeps a lot of people going. So
Keeps my mortgage paid, I'll tell you that right now.
Not my thing.
Good deal. Anyway, what about you, Lonely Monk? Have you found liquor to be at all helpful in keeping your shaking down? Craig? Hey, we have not had a technical malfunction here. He's still on this call, damn it. He may have gotten called away. So
he said he's got to take the dog out.
Oh, okay.
Skip him.
Who took the dog out? Craig. Who took the dog?
Oh.
Anyway, sorry. This is the musical section of tonight's show.
All right.
Flippity bloop. That just happened.
Yes, indeed. Wait for him for that one. So
Okay.
we'll do this real quick. Scott Hebel II asks, best and worst Warcaster/Warlock in the game.
Oh, God.
Uh,
I'll let
best
you take it
is-
first.
Best is still Gaspy 2. God help us. And worst is probably, I don't know. I'm trying to think of who I would never, ever, ever want to play. Just look at, like, got nothing. I don't know about worst. Worst is really, really tough.
Sorry, I didn't help you there while you were trying to vamp for a second. I was blowing my nose so that the brush heads didn't have to listen to me snurfle into the damn. Belinda Librarian brought me over some tissues, which was super awesome of her.
Yeah.
Worst, who you would never, ever, ever want to bring to the table. So here's the deal, brush heads. I know DC well enough that and I trust him. I trust the guy implicitly. He doesn't put out garbage, and I don't think that there is a caster that, under the right circumstances, cannot be made to work. So I think that, if you're looking for a best or worst caster, I don't know. For me, I think the worst caster is one that doesn't fit with your play style.
Wait, no, I've got it. Haley won because she's not fun for anyone.
You know what? I can get behind that.
She's not fun playing her. She's not fun playing against her. Forget that noise.
Yeah. Okay. Haley won, whom I might be taking with me to flippin' Kingdom Con.
That's all right. Even the worst caster needs some love.
Absolutely.
Have no fun with Menoth John.
That's right. Having fun with Menoth John during the team tournament is not allowed. I'm there.
Whoa! Tin Can Sniper on the chat room just said Gumbjorn, and no, Gumbjorn is super fun. He's got a little bit of game, and he can do some stuff. He's definitely not top tier, but he's good and fun, which far cry from worst.
Because that brings up a good point, buddy. It had to be the worst caster. It has to be one that isn't even fun to field.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have much fun with Amon.
I mean, I played Haley 1, and I mean, I didn't have a lot of fun because, I'm like, the one turn I decided late in the game to not cast Temporal Barrier, it almost bit me in the butt, and I'm like, well, I have to cast it because they're just looking for that.
Yep.
That opportunity. So maybe her Tau Dark says maybe Venethrax, which is fair. He's
boring.
Can be kind of boring, but he's got some stuff he can do too. It's just camping with him seems to be the best thing.
Haley 1 is no fun to play against and no fun to play. You have the force focus for TB, and then maybe you cast a Chain Lightning, or a Deadeye or something like that. It's no fun. She is a boring caster to play, and she is terrible to play against because of how strong Temporal Barrier is. So that's where I'm at. What about you?
I'll also say
yep.
that if you're playing her locally and you want to play her, don't let your darn locals talk you out of playing her just because they don't want to play against her.
No,
play what you want, and they got to learn it. Maybe you'll learn she's not fun. Maybe you like her particular game. You got to play it. Don't let them browbeat you out of playing it.
No, and you know what? She's not that hard to kill.
No,
you can get it done. She has the old man stats of young women. You can get it done. Set her on fire. Turns out she doesn't care much for fire.
That's true.
She hates it almost as much as Alyssa hates it, and she hates it big time. Yes, I'm. For those of you who are watching me paint Alara right now, I'm doing a little bit of fan service paint job on her because she's not going to be wearing pants.
Okay.
She's gonna be wearing the G-string armor.
I kind of find her lack of pants disturbing.
So they always said that this faction was kind of anime-ish. So she's gonna be sporting the armored G-string. Anyway, flippity bloop.
All right. Well, Bowie asks in the chat room, how is that senior tour coming along?
Senior tour is looking absolutely legit. We have settled on a format for it. We are going to have at War Machine Weekend, we're going to have 2 8-man scramblers that are going to feed into a final event on Sunday. There will be a scotch or some other alcoholic beverage break somewhere around these round 2 or 3. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to see if we can't get somebody to bring us beverages to the tables when we're playing the Scrambler. Carl is all in on this, so it's going to be absolutely legit. If you are 40 years old or older and want to be a part of this at War Machine Weekend, highly recommend you get to Facebook and private message and get on the Painting with Menoth John website and send me a message there, and or you can email at pwmenothjohn@gmail.com, and we'll keep you in the loop on where we are. There is a War Machine Senior Tour Facebook site that I can't remember the heck if it's just like War Machine Senior Tour or what it is, but it's coming right along. It's going to be a fantastic event. If you can be there, we're going to have the Hunt for the Golden Cane, and that's not the Signar caster. It's actually the Walking Help. So there you go. It's looking really great. We're extremely excited about it. We're running a little long on flippity bloops. Do we have many more, John?
We do.
Okay.
Quite a few more.
Quite a few more. Do we want to save them for next week, do you think?
We can. I think we've gotten down to the very particular ones and a lot of silly ones.
Okay. Well, can we lightning round them, or do you want to save them for next week?
Let's save them for next week.
Okay.
We'll save them to fit them in because they're just like I said, we're getting into the kind of weird ones, the filler ones we get that the guys only hear us answer, but not necessarily great when we got a guest on.
Okay, we will catch all of them up. We may do an extended flippity bloop the next time we have a show, and so expect maybe even the show to go a little long next time that we're together, because I will have some Kingdom Con type updates and things like that. But I want to thank all the brush heads, the legendary brush heads, everybody that put out questions for the flippity bloop. We love the flippity bloops, and they make the show so much more fun to produce because it's content we don't have to think about. So, yeehaw, we love that part of the show.
Absolutely. Yeah. Bowie points out 5 more years and he can join the Pro Tour, which is why I was confused why he asked.
Well, it's good, Bowie, that you're thinking that far in the future, because that's a level of planning and forethought we don't often see here on Painting with Menoth, John.
Well, you know what I realized? That if I make it the War Machine weekend, I will technically qualify by about a month and a half.
That's not technical, baby. That's all the way in. So we expect to see you there, and we expect you to participate in the Painting with I'm actually taking it over now. I'm going to call it the Painting with Menoth John Senior Tour. Why shouldn't I take it over, right?
You could set up a similar thing like that at TempleCon and just let people play on the Iron Arena tables during each round when they get a chance.
Yeah, I mean, I got to talk to the Carl about it and see how he thinks. Because, honest to God, this was it was mostly Carl's idea, and I was along for the ride. I don't remember if it was his idea or my idea, but I'll give all the credit to Carl because Carl's super sweet. And it'll be a lot of fun. And yeah, I just, we don't want to make it too serious, but we are certainly willing to hold an East Coast and a West Coast, and maybe we'll have a meetup in the at the War Machine weekend for the Old Guy Championship or something like that. I can't tell you how much I enjoy painting Tristan. He is looking sweet, and he's coming along just really, really well. I love this model. Anyhow, hey, so anyway, I just realized something about Tristan. He's probably a choir boy. This could be our first choir caster. So I'm going to hold him up here to the camera so that nobody can see what he looks like, because the light's terrible over by the camera, and it'll probably screw up the focus. So there's a blurry picture of my Tristan that I'm painting. But anyway, so John, do you have your beverage ready to move into the final 30 minutes of the show?
Yeah, I got a little bit left here.
Okay. Well, I want to thank everybody that gave the flippity bloops, and I want to raise a little bit of the Kraken for those brush heads who are now legendary brush heads, because you get to be legendary by breaking loose a little bit of the flippity bloop for us. So, hey, Ron.
Ron.
God, that's good stuff. Thank you, Roaring Dan. I appreciate it. You're just a little bit too much of a traditional rum to be sipping directly out of the shot glass. I think I prefer the Kraken, to be honest. It does say bizarre and fierce on the label of Kraken, which I'm on board with either one of those.
Yeah.
So for the last 30 minutes here, it's our media section for those of you who might be new to the show. And I'm going to start off by talking a little bit about a video game that I had a lot of fun with. It's Infamous Second Son for the PlayStation 4, and I'll tell you, when I got the PlayStation 4, I have to say I was a little bit disappointed. I was disappointed because I just didn't see that one that one application game, if you will, that was reaching out to me and saying, thank God you bought this system on launch day for. And it didn't come out on launch day. It came out a little bit later. Infamous Second Son is the best game I've played on the PlayStation 4 to date. It is I think it is the first game I have ever 100%ed. So I completed the main mission. I completed every side mission that was available. And I just love the game to death. It is so much fun. You play the part of a Comish Native American kind of kind of a rebel without a cause. He is he's a graffiti artist like Banksy. I'm not sure if the brushheads know who Banksy is, but Banksy is a very famous graffiti artist who goes around and tags different things on the sly. I don't know that his real identity is even known at this point, but I love his art style. I've seen some of his stuff in real life in Park City, Utah. He did some stuff up there because that's where the what is it called? The film festival, Robert Redford's shtick, but Sundance. So he got up there and did some of that. He and what you are is you're what's known as a conduit. So you're a person who can channel elemental forces through your body to use as a weapon. And you start off with being able to channel smoke. So you are you can like turn into smoke to move through things, and you can shoot up vents and stuff like that. But eventually throughout the game, you pick up the ability of neon and video, and you also pick up the ability of concrete towards the very end of the game. And it is a tremendous game, a little on the short side. I think considering all the time that I invested in Borderlands, I would say I spent maybe a quarter of the time on this game. But it is still an amazing game. It tells a great story. It's set in a very realistically modeled Seattle, Washington, which because of my job, I drive around Seattle a lot, so I know the city reasonably well. And I really, really, really enjoyed it. John, I know you're not a big video game guy, but I'm going to give Infamous Second Son, I'm going to give it, if you're a first-person shooter kind of person, I'm going to give it 2 shots of Kraken. If you are a just a video gamer, so to speak, I don't know what you'd be if you weren't a first-person shooter type person, but I'm going to give it maybe 3 shots of Kraken because it does take a little bit of skill, but it's not so hard that you want to kill yourself either. So I'm going to give it a solid 2 shots of Kraken. So what do you got for us, John? Did you happen to see some movies this week?
I did. I watched 2 movies this week, both starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Oh, God, yeah.
Randomly, Thursday, I think it was, I get home and I'm eating dinner. My wife's working late, and I'm like flipping through TV for something to watch. And I'm like, oh, the rundown's on.
Nice.
Well, I hate commercials like I hate few things in this world. So instead of trying to watch part of it halfway through with commercials, I just put the DVD in and watched it.
Nice. So what is the basic premise of the rundown?
Well, it's an action comedy. It's important to note. It has someone who's familiar to us here at the John Media section, because it has Sean William Scott in it too, who was in Bulletproof Monk.
Nice.
In a similar sort of role, a little more comedic in this one than he was in Bulletproof Monk, which is unfortunate because I feel that sporadic comedy is much more his strength. But the basic idea is The Rock is a retrieval expert named Beck, who just retrieves whatever you need.
Okay.
The cold open is him going into a nightclub and having to get the Super Bowl ring from a football player who owes a lot of money to the wrong people.
Uh-oh.
And it is a legitimately hilarious and cool fight scene between him and many football players, including a scene where he's calling his boss, asking him to let him do it another night because he doesn't want to hurt them because they have a legitimate chance of repeating.
That's awesome.
I mean, this is just a great, fun movie to watch. It goes at a good pace. It's a little Indiana Jones in the middle. Not going to spoil why, but it's a little Indiana Jones just in the middle. And surprisingly, that's the slowest part of the movie.
Interesting.
Is the middle. It's got some great fight scenes. It's got a cool fight between The Rock and Ernie Reyes Jr. and a couple other guys. In case you know who Ernie Reyes Jr. is.
I have no idea who is he and what would I know him from?
He was in the second Ninja Turtles movie. He was in a short TV series with Gil Gerard from Buck Rogers fame called Sidekicks, where he was, the young kid partnered with a cop. He's just a young martial artist who's now a middle-aged martial artist, actually.
I'm saying, if it's Gil Gerard, Gil hasn't worked in years.
Yeah, he was also, if you remember, Red Sonja, the perfectly awesomely terrible movie from the 80s.
Yeah,
He
buddy.
was the young prince from that.
Very nice. Red Sonja, the movie that Dolph Lundgren's wife only got to make because she was married to Dolph Lundgren.
Yep. And yeah, there is, Edifa points out there is an Arnold cameo in the beginning scene, which is pretty awesome.
Nice.
And Taz points out it is called Welcome to the Jungle outside the U.S.
Really?
Either title's pretty good. Yeah, it's a good fun movie. It has some great fight scenes. I would say the end fight in that is probably one of the best amusing fights I've seen in a long time. For a standard action movie, it's PG-13, so your kids can watch it with you, and they won't be too horrified by anything.
Cool.
And hold on, bad guy. Why is my brain stopping now?
How did it get to 13?
He does kill some people here or there, so
Okay.
or implied.
Implied gruesomeness.
Yeah, implied. And Christopher Walken is the bad guy,
Nice.
so you know you're in. So it's good. I'm gonna give it 1.5 shots of Kraken. It does
Nice.
drag a little bit of points, and it's not, again, it's not, super amazing movie, but it is a good time. And as I said, I own it on DVD, and it's worth every penny I paid for it.
So, by the way, Craig, for your information and for any of the brushheads that are new to the show, our rating scale is on how many shots of Kraken it would take for you to enjoy this particular amusement. So, the lower the number of shots of Kraken, the happier you are because you don't have to be drunk to watch it.
Well, I would totally agree with his assessment of that movie. It's something I've seen. I've seen it 2 or 3 times on cable, and it's funny. It's fun and funny second, third, and even fourth time.
What's it on? Is it on Amazon Prime or anything like that, John?
I don't know, but if you give me a second, I will find out for you.
Oh, hey, I'm going to tell you what. We can vamp like a boss here on Painting with Menoth, John. That's like one of our core competencies on this show.
That's true. The rundown is currently streaming on nothing important.
Damn it.
Just that one Hit Bliss site, which apparently streams everything, but you have to jump through hoops to sort of get it.
Yeah, that's below average, but perhaps we'll have to find a way that now I'm on GameFly. They also have movies on GameFly too all of a sudden, so we'll see how that works out. Well, cool.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, it's worth owning. I mean, you can buy it Amazon Prime for $5 on DVD, and it is worth every penny of that $5. Or you can buy the triple feature here with the Scorpion King, the Rundown, and Doom for $12.96, which is also worth it.
Wow, $12.96 for those 3 movies?
Yeah.
Wow, those Scorpion King's fine.
And that's Blu-ray even. That's a Blu-ray price. It's actually $5 cheaper on DVD.
Nice. So yeah,
there you go.
Menoth John approved on that one. I'm gonna tell you what.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see.
So is it my turn?
Yeah, let's hear about what you've got there. You were sharing with us during show prep something called the history of sci-fi.
Well, I was going to save that for second, but I'll do that first if you want.
That's fine. Whatever you want to do.
No, Saturday night I was channel surfing, and BBC America has, I think it's a 4-part series on the history of science fiction. So I flipped over to it, and I was actually quite surprised by it, because they actually look at the characters and how it's going on. Yeah, I mean, they mentioned Frankenstein a little bit. They talk about Metropolis going all the way back into whenever.
Mm-hmm.
But the big ones they talk about Terminator, RoboCop. They mention the Matrix, and Isaac Asimov and the iRobot. The laws of robotics. A robot cannot do anything to kill a human. The robot, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep.
And it's really, really well done. I mean, looking at the Matrix is, the robots were created, and then they turn the humans into a battery, and the humans are part of the machine, but they don't even realize it.
Exactly.
And it's pretty well done.
Cool.
If you were drunk, you probably wouldn't understand half of what they're saying.
So what I'm hearing here is a low Kraken count.
Yeah, it'd probably be a solid 1.
Wow.
But and it was, you got to think about it a little bit. I saw RoboCop when it first came out, it was a fun action movie. I didn't really think about the implications of it and everything else that was going with it.
Yeah, turns out
So
that what we thought, oh, that'll never happen to Detroit. Whoops.
yeah, Detroit being bankrupt, what a concept.
Yeah.
Turns out that movie was straight up prescient.
Uh,
Anyway, so that's a good. So one shot of Kraken on that one. Good recommendation there, Craig. I'm going to. I took a tremendous nap today. I have to tell you guys. I sat down on my couch and I turned on a show called The Inexplicable Universe with Neil deGrasse Tyson. And we all know that and we're closing in. We're 10 minutes from Cosmos right now. We all know what a fanboy I am of Neil deGrasse Tyson. And he had a show before he did Cosmos, and it's on Netflix right now. And it is The Inexplicable Universe with Neil deGrasse Tyson. And I will tell you that man's voice allowed me to get one of the best sleeps and naps. I took a good solid 2-hour nap after turning that on, and it was straight up on the mark. It was great. It was his voice, and that's all I needed to hear, and I went right to sleep. So I'm going to give that one 0 shots of Kraken because you won't need any Kraken to help put you to sleep. The subject matter is fantastic. I mean, in all seriousness, it's great stuff. Neil deGrasse Tyson talking about science is one of my favorite things ever. So I recommend it to the brushheads. If you've got the Netflix, check it out. The Inexplicable Universe. It's on there, and check it out. So
it's also
0
on
shots.
YouTube.
Nice. 0 shots of Kraken on that one. John, do you have any other movies that you saw this week?
I did. Keeping with my Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson theme, I watched Faster this week.
Faster. Tell me about it.
It is at its core just a simple revenge flick. They don't name any of the main characters from it. The Rock is merely named Driver. Billy Bob Thornton is merely named Cop, and the other guy, who's kind of British, I don't know his name, is just named the Killer. And it's sort of just a story about the three of them, and it's all centered around the Rock's character getting out of jail. First thing he sees him getting out of prison, and the first thing he does is drive somewhere and kill a guy, like no remorse, no nothing.
Wow.
Just straight. Like, this is not a humorous movie, and that may be its biggest flailing, because The Rock's really good at doing some comedy in the middle of being serious, and there is not comedy in this movie.
It's just dark, huh?
But the funniest thing is just how slovenly and horrible Billy Bob Thornton's character seems throughout most of this movie.
He plays sleazy and terrible pretty well.
Yes, but despite that, it sort of rises above it. It definitely tries to get a deeper meaning about revenge and all. Now, I wouldn't suggest just straight out buying it like The Rundown, but I enjoy it. I saw it in the theater one night. I picked it up on DVD because it was cheap, and like I said, I enjoy it. It's a good, enjoyable movie. It's a little bit of mystery, a little bit of action. There's only a handful of gunfights.
Okay.
And I can say everyone who gets killed in this movie has it coming.
Not high on the redeemable qualities scale, huh?
No, and it's really good because throughout it, the killer and the driver, Rock and this other guy, they're only interested in killing who they're interested in killing. Like, if you're an innocent bystander in the way, they're not going to shoot, not going to do anything. I mean, there's only 2 real gunfights in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
The rest are pretty much just killings and one knife fight. But it's a very interesting movie. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It's only about an hour and a half long, which is a redeeming feature. It's cast pretty well. I enjoy it. It's probably about 2 shots of Kraken, because it is bleak at times till you get to the end and sort of get the I wouldn't say it was hammered in or heavy-handed, but there's definitely a sort of theme in the end.
Okay.
Delivered by one of the characters in the movie. I enjoy the hell of it. Probably about 2 shots of Kraken.
Cool.
Not sure if it's available for streaming, but it's definitely one you'd rather stream than purchase.
Makes sense. Not necessarily worth watching it over and over again. Yeah,
not necessarily. I mean, I've watched it 4 times now. It's, again, only available on Hitless. But if you're one of my locals and you want to borrow it, feel free to ask me. I'll let you borrow the DVD. It's a good time. If you and your buddies get a chance to see it, it's worth seeing.
Cool. Did you said you had one more then, right, Craig?
Yeah, and it's really kind of funny because, well, let me ask a question first. Have you ever seen the movie Fargo?
Yep, I've seen Fargo. Have you, John?
Nope.
Okay.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, it's a bit of a black comedy, you know. They go up there by Fargo, and they some bad things happen with the wood chipper.
It came out when I was busy running a store, and I realized my movie watching at that point was very sporadic.
well, if you get a chance, pick it up. But the thing is FX started a new TV series on Tuesday night
Called Fargo.
last week called Fargo.
Yep.
And, you know, it's got the same flavor of bleak comedy, but it's definitely twisted in its own little way. And the odd thing is, there's a car accident in the beginning. The car hits a deer. The trunk pops open. A man in boxer shorts runs away through the snow. And then who gets out of the car as the driver is Billy Bob Thornton.
Oh my gosh, he's in that show?
He is the bad guy.
Oh,
And you don't know who he is. You don't know what he's going on, but he cranks the evil scale up to about 6 or 8 on a scale of 3. And he comes into town. Lucifer would be proud of what this man does. And, you know, I'm not saying you look at the insurance salesman with the goofy wife who's unhappy with everything. And, you know, the sheriff is a guy. But, you know, there's the female deputy, and some of the other deputies are dimmer than dim. And, you know, the accents and the attitude, it's got the feel, the genre is right. And the only thing I can say is it was an hour and a half, and I want the next one. I want to watch it now. I want to watch the whole series now.
Wow.
I want to take a day and see it.
I'll have to see if it's available on any of my streaming that I have, but
Yeah,
that sounds fantastic. I mean, obviously not Netflix and stuff, but I have.
I mean, if you have FX, it's already on demand on your cable box, probably.
I will have to check that out. So.
And Amazon Prime will pick it up because they do FX stuff quite a bit.
Yes. I mean, for the first show just kept me riveted. In fact, I recorded on the DVR and I watched it a second time just to make sure I didn't miss any little detail, because it's one of those where if you miss a couple of lines or something else, it's like, why did this person get killed?
Cool. Well, that's a really great recommendation. So on the 0 to 5 shots of Kraken scale, this is sounding like maybe a 1?
It could, but you could also enjoy it up to a 1.5 or 2.
You get a little bit different experience then, I would imagine.
I'm quite sure.
All right, guys. Well, I tell you what, thank you very much. I can't thank you enough, Craig, for coming on the show and for spending the whole show with us. That's a real bonus. We had some technical difficulties earlier in the day, but thank God we figured them out. We are well known for our technical difficulties here on Painting with Menoth John. And I really, what's that, Craig?
It's amazing what screwing around with the settings will do for you.
You know, if you beat on a phone long enough, eventually you can get it to work, right? So I want to thank all the brush heads, all the legendary brush heads. I want to thank especially epic, ultra legendary brush head Ed Defoe, and I want to thank you, Mr. John Spencer and Craig Caton. Thank you for coming on the show. I urge you to get out there to the Kickstarter, take a look at CaptainCon, get out there and support those boys. They're making more fun for us, and we will see you not next week, but the week after, and we'll have lots to talk about with a lot of Kingdom Con shenanigans, and we'll finish up those flippity bloops. So good night, everybody, and enjoy your Sunday night, and happy Easter.
Hello, I'm
Menoth John.
and I'd like to welcome you. First of all, let me take just a moment to thank you for allowing me back into your homes. If this is your first time with us, let me extend a personal invitation for you to drag out your
miniatures
and paint along with us each week. Let's go over to the canvas here and let's get started.
I believe, every day's a good day when you paint. I believe, it'll bring a lot of good thoughts to your heart. I believe, every day's a good day when you paint. I believe, it'll bring a lot of good thoughts to your heart. Let's build a happy little cloud. Let's build hills and happy little trees. There are no limits here. You start out by believing here. You can almost paint with any